The victim was struck twice. Once on the upper region of the skull, leaning to the right side. Another strike happening to the left of the shoulder blade, striking a vein in his neck. We are assuming he was struck first on top of his head. Then, while wobbling, the attacker struck again near his neck, and he bled to death there. It is presumed the victim didn't know the attacker was there until he was hit, making it seem like he attacked from behind while on the chair. Our first thought was that this murder was planned. Our lead suspect is Tony Truff, whose relation to the victim is that the victim is Tony's father. We currently don't have a clear motive, but we are pushing ideas around about drugs, money, or fame being the leading motivating factor. But hell, how doesn't Hollywood make you crazy? We need to send out a message to the local offices. We believe Tony has fled the scene, escaping in his father Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit, 1995. He may be armed, possibly with a gun, more likely with the murder weapon, which we believe was an axe or machete. Please be safe out there, officers, and if you see our suspect, approach cautiously and call it in immediately. We don't want him leaving the state. Make this a hometown situation.
Who was that speaking? I asked Dip, who was shaking his head, almost in disbelief of the news and tapping his finger on his desk. I looked at the clock to the right of his hand, reading 1 a.m. now in the bold red dashed lines.
I can't believe that is how he died. I always thought of him as a type of superhero, like the Flash or Friezo. Maybe I am being nostalgic, but I grew up watching his show. I think every boy in the 70s watched his show at some point. I mean, the character he played, it had such real emotion. He dealt with serious personal issues, and he could still do the right thing for the right people. In a way, I thought he would have embodied it.
Dip froze after his statement, staring blankly in the wall, myself presuming his mind was spinning. Me not a clue of what was so important about the victim, besides bringing his son to justice. Who was that speaking on the radio? I asked again, my tone a little louder and more definitive, knowing I needed to knock Dip out of this trance.
He's the chief from Lux. It's a smaller, richer community down south from here. A lot of the homes sit up on a mountain, giving them access to a view of the Pacific Ocean from the west. You have a lot of actors there, like Jenny Fitz, Matt Dalon, Faith Polinsky.
Dip then looked at me, an expression of not knowing on my face prompting him to ask,
Do you even know who our victim is? Who Jeff Truff played back in the day?
I have no idea. Was it Titan? Dip looked frustrated, both palms in his face, then asking,
Were you even born yet in 1980?
I shook my head and Dip let out,
He played Fisher in the Trailback series. I am assuming you have never heard of it, since when it stopped airing when you would have been 7. But for a good 10 years, that show was one, if not the, most popular shows on TV.
If a group of officers are going to start riding, you want to stroll Highway 70 and 75, make sure that Tony is not passing through up north.
Angel, who was one of the 2 captains for the station, said, looking at me and giving me a slight nod of approval, which I took as he was pleased I was awake and alert for a case like this. And I was, sure, being awakened at 11 p.m. after working 8 hours for the day isn't super fun. But this has been the first big call in my first 3 months I've been working where everyone got brought to the station to get a debrief on it. Now, maybe it was a higher case since the victim was a famous actor, which ethically I couldn't agree with, but nevertheless, I was happy to get some exciting police work. Me and Dip got outside, a now cooler fall night making more and more leaves lose their grip from trees and fall down, making a blanket of brown and orange colors. However, with the daylight at a minimal, these colors weren't as vibrant as previously stated. I got in the passenger side of Dip's car and we started toward the highway, reaching the place where we would camp at quickly, regarding the fact that there was little to no traffic past 10 p.m. Our camp was set up directly in the middle of our town, and the town north called Russell's. 2 miles north and we would hit the crossover on 75, giving us fast access to all 4 directions. We waited in the middle of the median between the north and south traffic, with few visible cars on the road, with those out being easily visible by their headlights half a mile away. We sat for nearly an hour, almost in silence as myself, and assuming Dip, were tired from the day it had been. Dip then got a call and spoke with someone on the line for 20 seconds, then putting the car in gear and driving north, speeding. He didn't tell me where we were going, but 10 minutes later we pulled into a 24-hour gas station, and the police cars already sitting outside gave me a bad impression of what had happened. We both walked in the gas station, the air feeling colder, at least a 10-degree drop from the already chilly weather outside. I looked at the cashier counter, a policeman putting chalk around the body, a giant gash into the male clerk's shoulder, still pumping out blood which littered and differed greatly against the white tile flooring. I then followed Dip, who was headed to the back of the store where other officers circled like birds. My suspicion was instantly the worst, and 30 seconds later my eyes confirmed it. Another person laying deceased on the ground, a gigantic gash in her back, much like the clerk. Dip then looked over at me, saying,
"You don't have to be in here. Start the car and keep the warm air on. All this stuff does is mess with your subconscious. You're not used to it yet."
tossing me the car keys. I caught them, making my way outside and listening to his advice. 20 minutes passed, and Dip walked back out, standing in front of the car which I now got out of to switch seats with him.
"You're staying with me, Nick."
A voice came behind me. I turned around, another officer walking toward me, now standing in front.
"I am Officer Brian with the Russell's office. Dip is going to be gone for half an hour and come back. While he is, I am going to watch you. We can sit in my vehicle while he is gone."
I turned to Dip, who had already closed his door and starting the car, reversing when I turned back to Brian, asking, "Where is he going?"
"I never ask. I think Dip knows a private investigator group that follows police comms, but he never tells me the true source of the information. Just what we need to know to catch people."
I shook my head, acknowledging what Brian had said, asking, "How do you know Dip?"
"There was once a time he worked out of our office, but that must have been 4 years ago with his other partner."
Who was the better officer?
At the time, and probably still is, Dip. On paper, his partner is more impressive with working at the FBI. But for understanding crimes and connecting pieces together and getting information, Dip might be the best I have ever seen. It amazes me he hasn't left. Go try to do something at a bigger agency like the FBI. Makes me feel like he's tethered here by something. Maybe his wife.
I got into Officer Brian's car then, waiting for Dip. I believe I dozed off for a while, waking to Dip entering the car and pushing against me.
"Before we leave, I need something, so stay still,"
he said, reaching for his side and pulling out scissors. "What are you doing?" I said panically, afraid he might attack me.
"I need a hair sample, a small piece. This is for drug testing reasons."
Dip said assuring. "It's 2 a.m. Why do you need my hair at 2 a.m.? I asked.
"I need it."
Dip yelled, making other officers look inside the car at us as he grabbed my head, pulling it toward himself and cutting a slice of hair. He then caught the strands mid-air, placing it in a small bag, then telling me,
"Let's go."
We spun out of the parking lot, none of the other officers following us as we continued on the Highway 75, eventually turning onto a farm. He pulled the car along the fence line, then Dip turned to me.
"You need to stay in the car. If you hear any shots, rush out and come find me. I should be calling for you. If anyone else comes at you, be ready to fire, okay?"
I nodded, Dip leaving the car and jumping over the fence as I stayed in the car. Nearly 10 minutes passed as I waited for any sound to be made from outside, my ears open and my heart beating. I could be helping him. What if he got attacked? What if he got killed? Thoughts rushed my mind until I heard something. I rolled down the window.
All those stories you told him made him create.
I rushed out of the car toward the shot. I then saw a figure standing in the field, the tall, skinny silhouette almost positively being Dip. I yelled out, "Dip!" He turned around and I walked toward him, seeing the corpse of Tony Truff laying in the sandy path. I heard yelling. "Was that you? What were you talking about?" I asked Dip, almost excitedly to hear his response.
"You didn't hear shit, boy. You made all that up in your head." I encountered Tony, yelled at him to stop, he rushed at me, and I shot him in the head. Clear as day. Understand?
My breath almost stopped. Dip ordering me to follow his story blindly, with a certain motion in my mind that it wasn't fully true. Understood, I said, almost defeated.
The man is going to be at the farm. You'll see him on the gravel road heading toward the horse stable to rest for the night.
Thank you.
Now for the boy, I want a hair sample. I need a good one, a healthy strand. The DNA inside is important. Currently, I just see it, but making a whole connection, that's going to require more.
Understood.
We are going to accomplish this, Dippy, piece by piece, day by day, until it is complete.